Hi again, Patrick Peace here. A new book that I'm going to be reviewing called The End of Faith by Sam Harris. This is, I've been inspired by this gentleman, Tabor Talk, his channel. The first person I actually met on the internet that I could say, oh, I recognize this person from the internet. And he mentioned it. So I said, oh, I might as well check it out. And also I saw his near-death experience where he felt like, he had a pretty scary experience. So I thought, hey, if anybody would be interested in that, that'd be something to check out. So I'm going to go through it, and so far it's a 300 pager, so it's pretty dense. It's got a lot to it, so it's going to take a little bit of digging. But already I find it's much more pleasant than Richard Dawkins' work. No offense to Richard Dawkins, I've said enough about him. I'm not going to mention him anymore. But Sam Harris is much more level-headed, lucid, and I don't know if you'd call it deadpan, but yeah, he's very, 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 what would I say? Very pleasant to listen to, right? So here we go, chapter 1. He says the creator of the universe has written a book. This is what he says that religious people believe. No, I don't believe the creator of the universe has written a book. I believe the creator of the universe might have inspired a number of books, and the 66 of those books happen to be collected and put into a Bible. But he uses hyperbole too much, and you'll see many examples of that. So some people do believe that. I give him that. And the funny thing is that in this book, so far, the first 25 pages, the religiosity that he is opposed to, I also am. So I join myself to his company. I say, Sam, we're on the same page. I hear what you're saying. I like your reasoning, but I'd just like to point out some specific exceptions. Obviously, I believe in Jesus Christ. Okay, so here we go. Certainty about the next life, this is from page 13. Certainty about the next life is simply incompatible with tolerance in this one. No. If someone has genuine certainty of the next life, it should increase tolerance in this life. And you'll see that in people that have had near-death life experiences. You don't see that a lot in people with religious views, especially ingrained, exaggerated religious views with little or no foundation. So again, we're on the same page, but his blanket statement I disagree with. That's not true, Sam. That's not true. Let's see what else we got. A moderate is a failed fundamentalist. That's a good one, right? No, that's not true. I disagree with that. A moderate would be a fulfilled believer, someone that's been rescued from fundamentalism. A moderate would, by likely his definition, right, would be somebody that has escaped from the extremes of their particular faith. That's how I would describe it. And of course, personal internal experience can lead us out of that wilderness. Personal internal experience. My buddy had a near-death experience, right? And it probably made him to seek out the truth by seeking it by reading your book, and then he recommended it to me. What's next? This, he has page 22. Okay, now we're starting to get into the nitty-gritty. He gives an excellent argument. He says, there's been no advancement in religious understanding since the 14th century. If you take a 14th century guy and bring him back to life, all his scientific ideas would be backward, but his religious beliefs would be about the same. Now that's, again, it's exaggerating a little bit, but he makes a good point. That's a very good point. Has our religious views expanded at all? Have they been able to tap into the spiritual realm? Have they been able to work miracles in people's lives? In cases they have, and in most cases they haven't. But I really like the argument that he uses. Very, very clever, very intelligent. It starts with a soft delivery, and then he puts in a vicious delivery in the middle of it, where he says, And I would speak it the way he does, in a very soft, calm, controlled voice, right? To speak plainly and truthfully about the state of our world, to say, for instance, that these particular religious books contain mountains of life-destroying gibberish, he says, is antithetical to tolerance as moderates currently conceive it. But we can no longer afford the luxury of such political correctness. We must finally recognize the pressure of pain to maintain the iconography of our ignorance. Okay, I see what he's saying here. He's trying to say that you shouldn't even use the word God. And he's a master at delivery, definitely the deadpan delivery with vicious attack that, if taken out of context, of course it would be extremely harsh. But I gotta tip my hat to him. The guy really knows how to argue. I would never ever want to debate somebody like that. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm not a debater. And then the backward argument, again, a very, very clever argument, where he says if everybody woke up and they had no knowledge of the past, what would be the priority of seeking out, for example, the Bible? And this plays with your head, right? You got to think it through and say, wait a minute here, he's got a good point here. Why would that be on the list? Maybe we wouldn't even get to it. But we would need it. We would need spiritual knowledge both immediately, during, and at the end of our lives. If you just woke up and you had no knowledge of anything, you'd be faced with existential angst. You'd be like, oh my, how did I get here? Where am I going? There would be a need for it. Even though he makes it sound like, well, you'd only want to do your food and shelter first, and then you'd want to learn how to get along and all that. And in the context of the reasoning that he presents, it's very alluring to think, oh, there's no need for that. We don't need God. But the sad fact of reality is that we do need God in the most important times of our lives, when we're going through struggle, when we're going through pain. You could say, well, that's just a learned response. That's just a learned reaction. I don't know about that. If people are committing suicide more than ever, they need God. They need something outside of this world. They need spiritual help, is what they need. That's that thin golden thread that weaves its way through history, that takes itself, and although you would never have any reason to allocate specific books as, oh, this is divine and this isn't. I agree with that, absolutely. However, once you came to the Gospel of John and found the words of Christ, and you found somebody that said, hey, this guy said love your enemies, what impact would that have on the world? Because he goes on to talk about India and Pakistan and all these different struggles. He lists a whole slew of struggles throughout the world and all that. Very compelling. But yeah, what if you found somebody that said, hey, do you want to know how to speak to your Heavenly Father? Here's a prayer that you can say. That prayer alone has got value beyond all the comparisons that you can make. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm getting through it. I'm only on page 25, but I'm going to get through it. But so far, excellent book. Excellent. And thank you for watching. I'm going to try and make these as a series. I promise to keep them short in the future and to get through this and to see how we can find out what is inside the mind of Sam Harris. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care now. God bless you. I love you. Take care.